you for joining the Gimli Sports podcast. Um, don't know how on earth I managed to get you on, but today, uh, I know it's insane because I know how busy you are. So thank you. Um,
My pleasure.
but today we have Danielle Drop Bear Curtis, triple weight champion, 1-1 as a pro, matchmaker, meme maker, you name it. You do it all in the world of MMA. So thank you for jumping on. I know we both just finished up watching Jones Miocic, um, and as we both said, Daddy Dana is treating Jones very well. so, but it wasn't. Stipe did well. I thought
He
for the
did.
most part for a 40-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's it. He's well into his 40s and
Yeah,
he still looked great. And to be honest, I was thinking about it the other day. He's actually got a pretty insane record. I think he's quite underrated. In prior to obviously fighting Jones, he only had 4 losses on his record.
yeah, like that's nuts.
Francis, JDS, like Junior Dos Santos, who when he rematched, he destroyed. And then who
DC.
else we had? DC, of course, and the first person he ever lost to was Stefan Struve, which was his learning curve. But after
Yeah,
that, it was only champions. It's only champions he's lost to, so it's pretty
which is
wild.
that's nuts. Um, but I guess I want to get started with like the hard hitting questions. No, no, no.
The hard hitting questions.
I don't
Ooh,
really have any hard hitting questions. Um, but I guess like I want to talk to you. Um, so did you start like you have a long MMA career? Like you're 8 wins, 4 losses as an amateur. Well, that was your amateur career. Am I right?
yes, yeah, yep.
Yeah. Um, so I guess like growing up, were you into a family of fighters? Like, what was it like growing up
No, I have a
into the?
vastly different childhood. I only found fighting or any combat sports really, other than I guess boxing. I only knew that they existed once I moved away to university. So as an adult, I grew up in a tiny, tiny little small country town called Hay. Um, there's not much there.
I,
to
I,
give you an idea of how small Hay is, my year 12 group, there was only one high school. My year 12 class was the biggest one they'd ever had.
far out.
And the biggest one they'd ever had. Do you want to know how many people in my year?
I'm gonna say less than 20.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah.
Far out.
So very small. And it's kind of like one of those towns where you don't have any of the things like there's no chain anything. So there's no Woolies, there's no Coles, there's no Macca's, there's no KFC, there's no movies, there's nothing like that.
Yeah,
And it's one of those places where one shop is many things.
yeah, yeah. I like that because I know like for me in South Australia, like a lot of like the small towns, it's like one shop or it's like if you go there for a holiday, it's like the biggest thing in town. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure where it is in Australia, but the big orange or like the big like it's just like, and I just look at it
Yeah.
and go, why do we have that? So did you have something like that in Hay?
No, there's 5 museums in Hay. Because Hay was, and so one of them is the Shearers Hall of Fame. One was
Shearers.
the high school that I went to, which is also a living, breathing war memorial because the region that Hay is a part of, the Riverina,
Yeah.
the vast majority of everyone in the Riverina went and served in World War II. So if people didn't
Yeah.
come
Right.
home, all of those small towns probably would have died out. So it's a big deal back in my hometown of Hay. So yeah, our high school is a living, breathing war memorial. It has war records. It has like stuff all down the hallways and everything. So it's a big deal. We have war memorial boards for everyone in the Riverina, all the names similar to the war memorial in Canberra on the outside of the high school.
Yeah.
Then the railway station is also a museum because there used to be something that was called the De Niro camp, which was essentially kind of like a POW camp.
Far
Yeah,
out.
for anyone that fled Germany, so like with the Nazis and stuff. So if
Right.
they got on a boat and fled and they came over this way and they come to Australia, they get picked up and sent to Hay. And the reason for that is Hay is about an hour and a half drive in any direction to the nearest town. It's in the middle of nowhere. It is really, really hot and it's dead flat. And it's because it's really dry, the only places where there's like trees and stuff is along the river line. So sunsets are beautiful out there because it's dead flat. So, you know, like when you look at a sunset out over like the ocean, how
Yeah.
it's beautiful because it's dead flat. It's
Yep.
like that where I come from, but land. And so because it's kind of like desert vibes in terms of there's nothing. So
Yeah.
they were just so isolated that even if they escaped, they would get found and picked up because there's literally nowhere to run or hide. So they just used to have this Danira camp with barbed wire fences that was essentially a
Right.
POW sort of camp. Obviously, they weren't hurting them or anything. They just
No,
lived
of course.
within these walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's another one that was a men's jail that then got turned into a women's institute, which has a pretty horrible, terrible story and past. And
Yeah.
then there's the Bishop's Lodge, which is an old building that used to be, well, it's known for its sort of architecture and stuff from back in the day. So it has a lot of
History behind it.
yeah, and it's a lot of those things is because of how isolated it is and hot
Yeah.
and dry, and there's just nothing around. So it's very interesting, but
Yeah.
there obviously wasn't a lot to do. And the funny thing is, I actually was terrible at sports growing up. I was much more of an academic.
Okay.
I liked the idea of doing sports, so I tried
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
for everything, and I would get picked last for everything.
I know how
Uh,
that feels. Like I remember when I was
I
in
was
high
bad.
school. Like in high school, like I tried doing hurdles and like golf. And hurdles, the first hurdle I went, it was just over, and I just went, you just see this, and bang, straight down. And I'm like, it was shocking, and everyone laughed at me. And I'm like, okay, guys, enough. And then golf, like I could hit the ball really well, but it would always go into like the river where the teacher said, do not hit it.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm like, classic Gimli. Like
Oops.
I was like, oopsie daisies, just a small mistake.
I was just, I won't say unco. I won't say unco. I was just very not athletic. I'm not
Yeah,
naturally athletic. I'm not naturally talented. I'm actually, it will take me so long to learn something and to be proficient at doing it, which means
for sure.
that I have to obsess over it and I have to do it hundreds of thousands of times to get it. But
Yeah,
that means that I think from a very early age, I learned that dedication, determination, resilience, and learning that like you will lose or not do well for a very, very, very long time
yeah,
before you'll get good at something. And I think that that's actually ended up being one of the defining factors of my career and my performances is that I am so determined. Like you have to stop me to stop me, and nothing's going to
oh
phase
yeah,
me. And you
yeah.
would know this
Yeah,
after seeing me.
I was cage side. Yeah, like I'm gonna get into it later, but I remember being cage side for your DFC flyweight championship, which I can see in the background as well, which I absolutely love seeing.
Of course.
But I remember like none of you were like backing down from the other. There were
No.
like moments in that fight. Actually, I'll get into it later, but yeah, like you like your determination and just your heart in your fights. It's very clear.
Yeah, and that's something I think from an early age not being good at sports. And honestly, if you had have told me, or even if I had have told younger me, or my friends, or my family, my teachers, if you had have told any of those people that I would be an athlete, everyone would have laughed at you. No one would have believed you. So
Yeah.
that's a shout out to everyone who thinks that they're not good at something, but they have a dream or a goal, which I didn't have that dream or that goal back then. It never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would represent Australia in anything that would be athletic, or have people call me an athlete is still weird to me right now.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the thing that you can do anything you want to do if you're willing to actually put in the hard work. And the hard work is not for a week or a year or a couple of years. It's going to be a long time. Like if you want to get really good at something, and then even then, you got to even if you're good at something, you got to keep learning and keep going. Like you can't get to a level and stop, especially in this sport, because it just changes and grows so quickly. So yeah, that it's interesting. I probably grew up and had a different start to my story than most people would think. And I only started even training, stepping in a gym to start learning when I was like 25, just about to turn 26. So I a lot later in life than most other people getting into the sport now, which meant I've had to do a lot to sort of catch up. But again, that is that determination of just going, I don't care, I want to try it and do it. And but
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know fighting, like I didn't know MMA existed, that is for sure, until I moved away to university. So and then I became a super fan. So I was a fan before I was anything else, and I was a super fan.
Like, because I was looking at your record just before, and you've been fighting for roughly 7.5 years now, which is insane to think. You know, and like your success, is insane. Like, I mean, you just need to look behind you alone, to like really like comprehend like what you've achieved. But I guess, going from that, so from where you grew up in Hay, when was it that you sort of like noticed, oh, fighting, like, okay, I could have a go at this? Because I know you said you were like, you didn't consider yourself athletic, but when was it that you sort of started training and went, oh, I might actually have a chance here?
Well, it's funny. I even when I started training, I didn't think I would have a chance. Because it was not something I ever crossed my mind. So I moved to Canberra at 18 to go to uni, and it was while I was at uni that I got introduced to the UFC, watching UFC pay-per-views, and immediately fell in love with it.
What was your first UFC fight?
That I watched? I honestly can't tell you because I fell in love with it so quickly. I then immediately obsessed over it and watched every card that came out, but went back and watched every season of The Ultimate Fighter that had been before that, and then all of the old UFC cards. So it kind of makes it all a bit foggy as to who, like, what was the first fight, because I didn't go into it like as if you've got a whole bunch of friends who all watch it and are like, then you're coming in to watch it, like, and it was a specific thing. So because it wasn't like a specific moment, I can't remember exactly which fight was the first fight that I watched. Probably would have been something along the lines of maybe a card headlined by maybe Chuck and Tito or something like that. Maybe a little bit before that, maybe. It was never, ever something I thought I would do. And essentially when I even started training was like a handful of years after being introduced to the sport and a handful of years of obsessively watching. But even then, massive super fan, never ever thought that I would even train or fight. And then basically a gym opened up next door to like where I was working. And also I was a broke uni student, obviously, so I couldn't afford it. But then, I got a full-time job, and it was actually a Muay Thai gym that opened up. So I started, so I walked into a Muay Thai gym, started learning how to, throw a punch and kick, and then pretty quickly learned that although I enjoyed that, that was not my path. I liked MMA. So that coach was amazing, and he helped introduce me into helped me find someone to do MMA with. So my first coach in MMA. So and then started training. I did not train for very long before I had my first fight.
Yeah, right.
Very short amount of time.
Wait, so what was that like time frame between like when you started training and then you having your first fight? I feel like this is going to be an interesting answer.
From when I started training MMA to when I had my first MMA fight.
Yeah.
Maybe like 6 months.
Oh, yeah. That is insane, because I know like, and it's insane to think like even now to this day, like there are some people who are like jumping into programs like Alter, who are like training for like 12 weeks and then bang, like fighting, and I'm like, These guys are going at it now,
Yeah.
but
It's pretty
no,
wild to think about, for sure.
yeah, like, and I know with like debut fights as well, it's like you look back, even just like the journey, even like talking, and I'm like, it is insane to think like what that was like, because I know before my debut, I was chatting to you quite a bit, and I'm like, Jesus, like this is a lot.
It's
And
a
like,
it's a lot, and I think that's the thing. Like, if you haven't fought, you think the biggest thing is the physical. It's not. It's the
yep,
mental for sure.
100%.
And I think that's because the untrained person, like if they've ever been in a fight before, they just think about the physical aspect. And if you've been in a fight at, like, I don't know, out, or when it's alcohol fueled, or at the pub or whatever,
At the train station.
yeah, if you've been in something like that, it just happens and you just do it and respond in the moment. And I
Yep.
think that's the thing that people think it's like. So they think it's just the mental side that's hard. But I think the hardest part, they think the physical side is hard. I think the mental side is the hardest, and the bit that you can never understand till you have a fight is the idea of it consuming you mentally, that you are
Yep.
going to training, you're thinking about it every second you're not at training, you're like, are they training and I'm not training, and it's the how I compare it is if you told someone, all these movies and stuff where the person knows when they're going to die, and they have that
Yeah.
countdown timer. Well, if it's like that, but if I said at this day, this time, this moment, this location, you're going to have to fight for your life, or you're going to get mugged, or, something like that. It's that knowing that at this day, this time, or even this person, that I'm going to have to fight, and like, am I prepared? What's going to happen, and all of those things, I guess, is what consumes you. And that's what sets apart, I guess, regular people and people who are able to fight.
Yeah, far out. Like, and it's insane to think as well. It's like you look back at when you start training to, like, when you, like, now, like certain techniques. Like, I know for me, when I first started training, just throwing a basic 1-2, I'd always like drag my back foot as opposed to like a pivot.
Mm.
So what was it like for you, like trying to develop, like looking back now, what was some things that you noticed? It's like, how did I not notice I was doing that?
Oh, plenty of things. I think every fight, and every time you look back at fights, you learn something, about yourself, and uh, uh, about your style, and about. Uh, I think it's important to look back, but I think
Yeah,
it's also important to look at each performance and see the improvements as well.
true.
Try and find the positives, not just the negatives, because we are all our own harshest critic. There's
Yeah,
no doubt about that. So sometimes we've got to remember to look at the positives too. But yeah, my fighting has developed enormously from my first fight to my most recent fight. There are some similarities, and there's some things that maybe I've polished and gotten better at, but I maybe just, I don't know, tend to like those weapons, or it's more so seeing how polished they are in terms of the things I was already maybe naturally inclined towards, or finding the right time, because now you can set them up better, or you can force it, or whatever. And seeing the whole game round out, because for me, um, I think my biggest weapon, my biggest attribute is being well rounded, and my fight IQ. So changing what I'm going to do based on the opponent, based on what's happening in front of me, based on what's working, what's not working, and then keep changing that and adapting it to whatever is happening in front of me at the moment, not getting stuck in my head about something, not worrying about something that has happened and having to win something back, or getting fueled by emotion, or anything like that. I'm very analytical, very much, I know I have a well-rounded skill set, so I can take it anywhere, take it to the path of least resistance, and I think that's why a lot of my fights are vastly different. So if you're
sure.
if you're an opponent trying to prepare for me, and you only watch 3 fights, there's a high likelihood that you might watch 3 fights that showcase certain weapons that, if you don't watch all my fights, you'll think I'm a certain style of fighter, because it's interesting. Depending what fights people have watched, people will call me a grappler or they'll call me a striker.
Yeah.
And it just depends who I'm fighting, and what style they end up, what I think is going to work the best. And sometimes it's not what I think is going to. I get in there and even what I thought was going to work is not what is the easiest path to victory. So, or the most exciting, because I like to be entertaining too.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I guess I want to talk about now, like, so what? I'm trying to think of when you had your first title fight. I can't remember. I can't remember, but what was it like? I guess like you had like a couple of fights. And it's like great, I have success, and now it's like, oh, like now I've been offered a title fight. What was it like? I guess like dealing with like um the preparation for just like I guess a regular fight. I'm very careful saying that too. Um, as opposed to like a title fight. What was it like?
um, I think it's the same. I think it's whatever you make it out to be. So with any fight, the pressure and the stress is got to do with whatever you put on yourself. Again, it's just another fight. 2 extra rounds. I like having more rounds and more time because
Yeah.
I am that cerebral fighter.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I might start off a little bit slower, especially if I know that there's 5 rounds, because I've got so much time to download information, make adjustments,
Yeah.
and then I really push. I feel like I get better and better as a fight goes on.
For
Not
sure.
saying that I'm not good in the first round. I've had wins in the first round, no problems.
Yep.
But I tend to like it, and I tend to get better and better. Everything gets sharper. So I like 5-round fights. I
Yeah.
really enjoy them, actually. And I always believe that there's one thing that you can control going into a fight, one thing, and that is your gas tank, your physical condition that you go in with. And I don't mean your full physical condition, because
Yeah.
injuries happen all the time. You have no control over that. But I just mean purely like aerobically, your gas tank. That's the one thing you can absolutely train to a point that you know whether or not it is good enough. And so I'm really big on that. Like, I don't ever want to get to a point where I can't get up. Like, I can't stand up at the end of a round. Like, I will not do that. And you'll see, like, the fight that you were cage side for, that was a 5-round war, and I made a point of standing between every round, addressing the crowd, all of those kind of things. And I felt like I could have 5 more rounds at the end of that. I was having
Yeah.
the best
Right.
time. So even though it was it was a war, it was a great,
Oh
it
yeah,
was
that was
it
a
was
war.
hectic.
That was like, I from what I remember, both of you were bleeding by the end of it, and
It
I
was great.
remember, I
Blood
think it was
everywhere.
yeah, because I think you were on the Daily Combat pod. Oh, sorry, now I'm having a mild stroke. Daily Combat on the Daily Combat podcast with Dave Stockbridge, and I remember he said like when he was interviewing you after your fight, like the amount of blood that was spilled on the mic and just his like blazer was insane. And I know
Yeah.
like I've had a chat with Dave afterwards as well, even after my fight, and I'm like, and he goes, "Oh, what's your next fight?" And I'm like, "For your blazer, mate," because his blazers are always so good. But moving away from that, so what was your first title? Was it Gamma?
The first one that I won out of the triple was the Gamma, so world title over in Amsterdam. So
Yeah, right.
it's kind of like the Olympics for MMA. So if you don't know, there's two versions of this. There's IMAF and then there's Gamma. So IMAF is all amateur, whereas Gamma is pro-am. So amateurs
Okay.
and pros fight each other, but under basically an amateur rule set. So it's exactly, they both IMAF and Gamma do the exact same thing. The
Okay.
difference is pros. So it's just the best people that you want to put forward from your country in Gamma. IMAF, it's the best amateurs only. So
Okay.
I actually fought, when I fought for the gold medal on the final day in Gamma, I actually fought a pro fighter when I was an amateur, and
Yeah,
she'd
right.
already had 4 pro fights. And she was ranked number 3 in all of Asia. So that for me was kind of a big moment, especially because at that point in time, like I was also fighting up in a pretty significantly bigger weight division. And both girls I fought were definitely bigger than me. So yeah, fighting over multiple days, making weight multiple days. Yeah, and I won both of them, both those fights via stoppage. And yeah, one by sub, one by TKO, and yeah, took home the gold medal. So that was pretty good. World title to kick the triple champ off.
Sure.
Yeah, and so that was kind of a crazy experience because you don't know what you're going to get. You're going over there blind. You have to fundraise because it's all
Funded.
yeah, it's all self-funded, and that kind of because I was actually the fight before getting selected to Gamma and going over to Gamma, I was actually going to walk away because I had a lot of things happen in my life, and also I couldn't get fights. So there was a period of time, you probably see on my record. So I was obviously fighting at way too bigger weights to begin with just to get fights. And I went 2 years, and this is before COVID, where I couldn't get fights. And I was lined up for a fight, and then they'd pull out, 5 to 10 days before the fight. And then another promoter would be like, well, you can get on our show, so keep training. And then have an opponent, it'd fall through. And I did that for 2 years. So my mind was broken. My body was broken from perpetually being in camp for like 2 years straight. And then my life fell apart. A lot of things happened in my life, and I lost myself, and I was like, I want to have one more fight. And I had the one fight, and this is the fight that I got selected for Gamma off of. And in that fight, I was like, well, if this is my last fight, I have a list of things that I want to be able to do, that I want to say that I've done in a fight, right?
Yeah.
So I did not want the fight to be over. So I made a point of not stopping the fight. But I did everything I had on the list. So the list was a spinning back fist, a spinning heel kick, I wanted to get a high crutch takedown, pick someone up and slam them. I did that. I wanted to take someone's back. I did that. I wanted to land nasty knees. I did that. I had this list. I had a whole list written down, and I did every single one of them in that fight. And I think that's why I got selected, because I just did this fight where it was just it was fun. I was having so much fun, but it was all of those things.
And some of those I can recall I watched you doing your Talia fight, and I'm like, because not many people can throw a spinning back fist and actually land it properly. Like some people throw it, and I'm like, you're a dickhead. Why are you doing that? Sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I've thrown them now in quite a lot of fights. A lot of the time in my fights, in both amateur and professional, and I've landed them. Which is it's a difficult technique. But yeah, and sometimes it takes that at Ami just going, I wanna land it. I wanna do this, intentionally trying to set things up and do it. But yeah, and that's it. So then I got selected to Gamma, and it was such a incredible moment for me, because I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd ever do anything like athletic. So I never thought I'd ever represent my country. And then because I had to fundraise for it, it was just so humbling and amazing, and actually helped me so much, because a whole bunch of people donated, and I couldn't believe it. And it was such a light bulb moment for me to be like, if all these people believe in me, and believe in me enough to give me money to donate to this for me to go over, why shouldn't I believe in myself? So that was a pretty amazing sort of realization. And then so I just took that into going over there and went, I know I'm small and underweight. I was weighing in in all of trackies and jumpers and all of that stuff, still being underweight. And and I just thought, well, I'm just going to go give it everything I have and have fun. And then yeah, then that surreal moment where you get to walk up on the podium and I'm draped in my flag and get the gold medal on, and then everybody has to sing the national anthem. That was pretty cool.
And that would have been such a special moment too, like being able to
It
get
was,
gold for yourself in Australia. Well, when I was in
yeah,
Australia. But
that
what
was
was it
amazing.
like with conversation of like, okay, we want you to represent Australia at Gamma. Um, what was that conversation? Like, what was
Oh,
it like?
that's pretty much what it was like. And I was like,
Literally.
okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then obviously, it's, self-funded and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's pretty much what it was like. So that was kind of a very surreal moment in itself. Like the whole thing was. It's still surreal now, to think about, which is crazy.
Yeah, right. Far out. And is that
Yeah,
the medal or is that?
that's the medal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's
Because I'm
not,
trying to figure out which
it's
one of the medals
not,
behind you it is.
it's not that one. It's actually it's up the top somewhere. You probably, yeah, you can't quite see it. It's
Yeah.
just up above. It's hanging off one of the trophies up on the top level.
Yeah, right. Far out. So you come back to Australia, you're like, great, I've got this. And was it straight into another title fight?
No, I then, so the one of the girls that I faced at Gamma was from New Zealand, and
Mackenzie Jean?
yeah, Macca Jean. So um when I fought her and I subbed her in round number 1, she said to me then and there, she's like, I'd really love to rematch you sometime. And I was like, yeah, sure. So my next fight, they put forth that they wanted to fight me on Eternal, and I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? I couldn't find any other fights anyway, so we fought again. I'll learn a bit of a lesson here that I went into that fight with a torn shoulder. And I didn't tell anyone, and that's my own learning curve. I've done this learning curve a few times now, and that's my own fault. So regardless of going in there with a torn shoulder, that's fine. That's all part and parcel. We have these moments. I think the biggest thing for me, though, that I learnt was that if you're going to go in injured, you've got to throw caution to the wind and you've got to still throw it or use it 100%. Because I pretty much didn't throw my right hand in the first 2 rounds of that fight, which made it incredibly difficult for me, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I won the first round. She definitely won the second round, and I thought that I won the third round. But the judges, she got the decision. I don't know if it was unanimous or split. I can't remember, but they definitely third round was close. I thought I did enough. I took her down and I hit her with some nasty right hands. So when I actually let my right hand go, because I was like, oh gosh, this is getting really close and it's, being a bit of a tough fight, I was like, well, it's already been torn anyway, stuff it, let's just throw it. And as soon as I threw it, I hit her really hard and I was like, damn it, why didn't I do this from the first round?
Yeah, for sure.
And then so obviously when the decision was read and she won, I was like, well, that's my learning curve there. If you're going to go in, and I've gone into most every fight I've ever had injured to some degree, which
Yeah,
is
right.
every fighter
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But it was that learning curve of, if you're going to go in there like that, you still got to give it everything. You've got to get over the mental block, I guess,
Oh, for sure.
is what you've got to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lesson, guys. If you're going to go in there injured, which we all do, you have to make sure that you pass that mental block of using whatever the weapon is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I
So
know.
yeah,
No, I
and
know
then
how it is. Like, because what a lot of people don't know, um, and I don't think I even told you, leading into my fight was like a lot of my left shoulder quite often it gets tight purely because like minor surgery when I was younger, and I still sleep on that shoulder, so it gets super tight and it just gets hard to move, and I'm like,
mm,
and I'm like, far out. It's not fun, but I don't know
yeah,
why. Like straight away, I just like kept throwing my jab, and and I don't know why, but I remember like the first combo that I threw at my opponent, it was like a hook jab cross, and I'm like, oh, that actually hurt him. So it's like trying to get over that mental hurdle, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's a big
yeah,
one.
and
Uh,
it is so difficult to think like, because it's like, oh, if I do it, like if I use that, am I gonna get hurt even more than I already am? So
yeah, you
I can
can't
see
limit
what you're saying.
yourself or worry about getting hurt. You've got to go in 100% and 10% knowing that, you're probably going to get hurt and you're expecting that so that, but even then, again, you got to try not to limit yourself. So, these are all lessons. So then after that, I had another fight at so Feather, and then I rematched Macca at Bantam.
Yep.
And then I had a fight lower down because I was wanting to fight at Fly. I've been wanting to fight at Fly for such a long time. I couldn't get fights there. And so I negotiated a catch weight. So I fought down at 59, 59, 58, 59, I think. So I went 66, 61, 59, and then stopped my opponent in that one, and then come back up because I got offered a bantamweight title. So then won the bantamweight title, and I'd already been offered a shot at the flyweight title for Diamondback. So, and then immediately, same month, a couple of weeks later, fight for the flyweight professional title.
Yeah.
So yeah, three back to world title, which was a couple of fights in a couple of days. Then I had a couple of fights. Then I did 3 titles fights in a row. AMI
Which is
Pro.
insane.
Yeah.
Which is
Made my pro
insane.
debut for a title, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, that one was a bit controversial, but we'll get to that. Um, so you so when you won your second title, what was that like? It's like, great, I'm a double champ, and I just heard the crack in your neck over
Yeah.
the mic. I'm like, oh.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're right. I love it. I love it because everyone
Fight life.
yeah, like, and it's because I cracked my knuckles like with my youth leaders, and they all look at me like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I'm like,
people look
oh,
at you a lot when it's your neck.
yeah, like, or like, and sometimes I'll do it in the shops, and I remember this elderly couple looked at me as I cracked my knuckles and then cracked my neck. They just went, "Oh, you're gonna get arthritis." I'm like, "It's all right. It's okay."
You're like, I get punched in the head every day. It's fine. I'm going to have
It's like,
arthritis everywhere, guys.
like,
I'll
it's
probably
like
have
I'm,
enough CTE that I won't remember it. So
it's like I'm ginger. I like it can't get worse for me. It can't get worse.
it can
So,
only get better.
oh well. But so you had your, because I'd imagine your second title fight would have been in 2023.
Yeah. Yeah. So all three of those title fights were back to back in 2023. So they were
Yeah,
all
right.
from either February or March to July. So a
Yeah,
very short time frame.
yeah,
Two of those fights being in the same month. So yeah, that was a great fight. I had so much fun. I wanted it to go longer, but it's interesting. So after the world title, when I got offered the bantamweight one, so actually in the end of 2022, my strength and conditioning coach, Matty Cass, sent me a message and he was like, all right, what are the goals for 2023? And I just sent him that wonderfully not photoshopped photo of me that I made.
I
The
know
one
exactly
where
what photo.
it's Henry Cejudo. He's got the belt
Yeah,
and the gold medal
yep,
on, and I've photoshopped my face on it, and I just sent him that and said triple champ. And so I had been like manifesting that. I hate that term, but I guess
yeah,
putting all of my mind on I want to be the first person to hold 3 weight division titles at the same time in MMA,
yep,
because that's 10 kilos. That's from 66 to 56. So that is such a big thing to do.
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, and the bantamweight offer came in, and obviously I was like, the whole time ever since I started in the sport, I was like, well, I'm a DC.
Yeah,
I have to be a double champ because that's just how it goes. DC was a double champ. Dominic Cruz held both the WEC and the UFC titles at the same time, so he was a double champ as well. I was like, I've got to at least do that, but how do I put my own spin on this?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, make it triple. So, yeah, I had that goal for quite a long time before I got those offers. And so I guess I probably didn't let everyone in on it until 2023. And obviously there could have been so many things that could have gone wrong along the way.
Yeah.
Like I might not have won the bantamweight title.
Sorry about the quick pause. My headset almost went out of charge. So back to it. So you're mentioning about your bantamweight fight.
Yeah, and that was another fight I had a lot of fun in. And yeah, I got that win in the first round. Nasty TKO, that one. It's like a nasty knee to the body that just dropped my opponent. But I landed a really nasty spinning back fist in that one as well that rocked my opponent.
Right.
And yeah, there was a few things in that I think I executed really, really well that I was happy with. And I was trying to push the pace a bit, start a bit faster, all of those kind of things. So I did everything that I was aiming to do. And then obviously then we move on to triple champ. Obviously, with each title fight, with each fight in general, there's more pressure and stress, but especially when you're trying to pull off something like that hasn't been done before. So yeah, I definitely did put a lot of pressure on myself, and I chose to put a lot of pressure on myself by putting it out there. Like a lot of people have these kind of goals and they just keep it to themselves, you know, and I wanted to do the scary thing and put it out there and be like, yep, this is the goal. Tick, tick. I'm going to go fight someone in enemy territory in their home. I'm going to drop down to a weight division I've never fought at before, and I'm going to do it straight up with no scale allowance for a title, you know, all of these things. So with each one, added stress and pressure. And yeah, certainly being the person that went in, I guess, as the B side going into fighting Talia because she's the hometown girl. And I know that title was essentially that title only happens because of her. Like the only reason that Diamondback had that opportunity in place was for her. So, you know, thank you to Diamondback for doing that. And, you know, thank you to Talia because without her, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to fight there. So that's the truth.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was right before, like a couple of weeks out from that fight where we started chatting, where I made a joke like, I'm going to ditch a phone box into the cage. And,
yes, this isn't that random. I think I put a meme up about the whole thing where, you know, we've all got an iPhone or a, you know, Apple box that we are too attached to. We can't throw it out in case we need it. So we all just have it stored somewhere.
There's no reason for us.
No reason.
Like, and I've still got mine from like 5-6 years ago, and I'm like, I need to let it go. Like, but and I still keep it, and I still want to keep it, but I have no reason to.
I think it's because they're so expensive. You're like, I need to get the value out of this box. You can't put anything else in it except a phone. So it is completely useless, but you're like, but I might need it. I don't know what I need it for.
Yeah, that's why I made the joke. But,
so yes, we started chatting. I think you started out messaging me by like talking shit at me, which is pretty funny.
Like I just said, like hilarious, and
someone who's from like my opponent's gym, like my you know, that I haven't met before, messaging me telling me he's gonna throw a phone box at me.
Okay, it's not quite like that. It wasn't quite like that.
And this is how I managed to turn my my opponent's fans into my fans as well.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. We'll keep it like that. We won't show them the chat history. No. But ever since then, like we've been sending each other. Well, mainly it's me sending you just memes all the time.
He's a bulk meme spammer, guys. If you need a meme to get you through the day for a laugh,
I'm your guy.
you need to get into Jordan's like circle of messages.
Yeah, like I think like I send like each meme to I think like 12 different people now.
Oh my
Like, and
goodness!
I just go,
Why
and
don't
I
you
just
just
go,
start a
share,
group
share,
chat?
share. Well, because not everyone knows each
Yeah,
other.
true.
And I'm like, hey, do you want to know this guy? No. And I'm like, okay, bye. Um, no, but I remember sitting. I was fairly close to the cage. Like I was only a couple rows away from the actual cage door. But I remember sitting cage side and just seeing you two ladies go at it. And I remember messaging you after the fight, and I'm like, that was a war. Like,
It was so much fun.
yeah,
I
and
love that fight.
and I remember a lot of people were like, "Why on earth is she smiling?" And I'm like, "Guys, it's because she's having fun. Like,
I
that's a
genuinely
jam."
love that.
Yeah, like a lot of people were like, "You like," because I remember someone sitting behind me. I'm like, just went, "She's a freak for smiling." And I'm like, "Oi, settle down."
It's all right.
Yeah, for sure.
I've copped that since the very beginning. Like my first ever fight, smiling. Like every single fight, smiling. It's what I do. It's who I am. People come to expect it now. And I love it. Like I do it because I genuinely love it. But it's interesting because some people think I do it on purpose as like to annoy or get in the head of my opponent.
Yeah,
Um, and it's not that. It's I'm genuinely having the best time.
for sure.
I possibly did smile a little bit harder and laugh a little bit at Talia purely because she does the mean mug at weigh-ins and
Oh
not
yeah,
so much weigh-ins. Like at weigh-ins, she was right up in my face, and I always smile anyway. And I was trying not to laugh because whenever people get right up in my face, I just
yeah,
find it funny. But it was more so when I got in the cage and she's in the cage and we're staring at each other across, and then we've come in to get instructions, and I'm just smiling, happy. And she did not break eye contact with me for like
yeah,
1 second. She's very good at it. She obviously is one of those people that just laser focuses, locks in, and that's what she does.
yeah, for sure.
And very, very similar in terms of like what I do is I'm always smiley, like because I'm genuinely love being there and I want to take in every second of it. So it's not a and it's the same I think with her. Like I don't think she's putting that on. I just think that that's the byproduct of her being locked in and laser focused. And it's the
Yeah,
same thing with me. It's like I'm not trying to smile at someone to piss them off. I'm smiling because
yeah,
I'm genuinely like loving being there,
yeah, for
or
sure.
I'm
Absolutely.
trying not to laugh. There's also
Yeah,
that too, because sometimes when people mean mug me, I I can't help it. I kind of find it a little
yeah,
funny because it just is what it is. So I do definitely remember that, especially because at the start of that fight, and I do it every fight before we go to start round one, I always put my hand up and ask, do you want to touch gloves? And I
yeah,
distinctly remember Talia, she was locked in on me and she hadn't stopped looking at me and she was just no. And I was like, okay.
yeah,
Because, and I get that because there's a lot of people that are like locked in, and like I've had quite a few opponents that don't want to. And I'm like, that's cool. I won't push it. Because I'm also not one of those people to walk out and be like, are you going to tap me? Are you going to tap me? Like to try and make that person look mean or something. I
yeah.
just, yeah. Yeah, but I had so much fun. So much fun in that fight.
Yeah, that was a fun fight because I remember there were a couple of times where I'm like, "Oh, she's about to finish you. You're about to finish her," and I'm like, and it's just, and I'm like,
That's what you want. That's when you know it's a
yeah,
good fight. And I
yeah,
said before that fight, I said, this is going to be a cracker fight. And I said, we are going to steal the show. It's going to be fight of the night. I can tell you this right now. And it was interesting. I listened to the guys do their like breakdown of the fight card like before the show that they
yeah,
did. And they only spoke about our fight for about 1 minute. And I took that personally and all they talked about was our nicknames. I wonder what
yeah,
would win, a drop bear or a great white shark. And I was like, you are going to be spending the majority of the wrap up when you talk about what happened on the show, talking about
sure.
us. I was
For
like,
sure.
it's going to be the best fight on the card. And it lived
And I
up to
truly
it.
believe that. I truly believe that. Like, and the fight after was, I'm trying to think, Tim Rogers and Jesse Medina, if I'm right.
Yep.
Which that fight alone was like, mind you, that was a massacre from Tim Rogers. Just
Yeah.
ground and pound elbows to Jesse Medina. Like,
that cage was covered in blood after
literally.
that night of fights. There's a video that Diamondback took, and I've got it. And it's of Rogers and I with our belts out the back, and both of us are just like brown almost, because it's after
Yeah.
the blood has dried, and so we're both like brown, and like
Yeah,
we both got
I
our
know the
belts, and
video.
we've
Yeah.
like fist bumped, and yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
it's so
'Cause I
wild.
remember at the time, I think it looked like Rogers' nose just looked
Yeah,
absolutely
it was
like
just
all over
everywhere.
the place. Yeah. But after that, it was only 4 weeks. Oh,
It was just under 4 weeks, because Diamondback was on a Sunday, and then Enduro was on a Saturday. I was just gonna say, what was that like as a fan? Had you seen many like fights live, and had you seen many female fights live up until that point?
I'll be honest. I like how now you're taking over the podcast.
I'm curious. I'm always
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, so I guess like not. I have, but not to the point where I'm like, oh my word, this is like a good fight. Like I distinctly remember particular rounds or moments. Like trying to think what I remember watching clearly. Rousey home. I remember. Um, that's probably the only one that I can distinctly remember, purely because of like how massive that fight was and the result was at the time.
Mm.
But no, not really. And I think like seeing a lot of like female fighters, just and it seems like it was only like the mid 2010s that it really started to pick up. And I think it's like you've got people like Amanda Nunes, which that name will ring a bell for you for your first professional fight. Valentina Shevchenko, Alexa Grasso, Holly Holm, Cyborg, like there are so many names, and it's insane. Like to think like
Yeah.
women's MMA is only growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess with that fight, that was one thing I always said too. I was like, Diamondback's gonna love that this fight happened on their show, because they're gonna have this footage forever, and they're gonna be playing it when both Talia and I end up in the big leagues. That they're like, we had these guys or these girls fight on our show, and what a fight it
Yeah, for
was.
sure.
And it's so cool to see them then continue to make sure that they have women's fights and women's title fights, and continue to have that belt on too, which is really good to see. So I feel like the quality of that fight has also helped push to continually have more women's fights on there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think Talia's had after that had two more fights.
Yeah, yeah,
Like won the title and then defended it.
yeah.
Which is insane. But now going on to 4 weeks later after that fight, you had your first professional fight against Fane Mosquito, if I remember her name correctly. Which I'm still like, purely because during the fight she took you down, had a rear naked choke grip in, and the refs out of nowhere stopped, and I went, what are you doing? Like there was no tap, and I can tell just by that sign that, like how annoyed you still are by it. But
Yeah, it is what it is. At the
yeah,
end of the day,
exactly.
these things happen. It just
Yeah,
means I need to do more. I need to.
yeah,
I'm not sure. I did have a conversation directly with that referee after it, and said, "What do you want more from me in that situation? Because here's what I would have liked from you. I would have liked you to grab my hand, and I would have, had it strong, or pick it up, or speak to me and ask me for a response. Are you okay?
yeah, for sure.
Anything like that, so that it give me the opportunity." And I understand if that was an amateur fight, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was a professional fight, and it was a professional title fight.
Yeah.
So I just kind of felt like, especially to a choke, you give me the benefit of the doubt to try and work out of it. I knew I only had like a minute left in that round. I knew all I had to do was defend. And it is what it is. I own it. That was another fight that I learned lessons in, and another fight that I went into with a lot of obstacles I had to overcome just to step into the cage. It's another fight that I probably should have pulled out of. But I knew it was a big fight. It was a big fight for that show. It was a big fight for both of us. It was a big fight in terms of the IMAF versus Gamma. It was a big fight in general for women's MMA on the scene at the time, and I didn't want to pull out. I'm a fighter. That's what I like to do. So even if I'm not my best self, I mean, I was injured going into the fight with Talia, but I was, and I didn't actually end up taking too much damage from the fight with Talia, but I got really badly injured. Only about 9-10 days out from my pro debut. And I was trying to hide those injuries, and it's another learning curve for me. Again, because it's so hard, because I've gone into almost every fight with some form of injury, right? And every fighter does. So the hard bit is drawing the line, because when I fought with my shoulder torn, the line wasn't that I couldn't do it. The line was that I had to trust in, if I'm going to go in compromised, you got to get past the mental block and throw things anyway.
Yeah.
I think the style of fight that I had to fight against Fane, I had to fight a very particular style that I wasn't sort of capable of doing, and I think that's where I needed sort of a bit more guidance. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have risked it, taken that risk. Like, I should have tried to maybe reschedule it, but I don't regret it either, because I'm still here. I still learned that lesson there. I'd rather learn that in fight number 1 of the pro circuit than later down the track, where it's going to stop me when I'm already at a certain point, stop me from getting to the big league. Sure. Like Jack Della lost his first couple of fights, went on a 10-fight win streak, got in the UFC.
Where is that now?
Cyborg lost her first professional fight. She's considered one of the greatest female fighters of all time. Nunes lost her first fight in the UFC. I'd rather it be now, then, where it's going to impact me. And granted, Fane and her team had a great game plan, and they always do. That team are very good at game planning for people. I had a good game plan that I didn't get to specifically implement, but at the end of the day, at pro, there's no easy fights either. So you got to weigh up the risk and the opportunity. And that was the other thing. I didn't want to lose the opportunity, because opportunities don't come around too easy for females, especially over this side of the world. There's not many girls, so it's hard to get fights. And that's part of the reason why I've fought at so many different weight divisions. So it's a blessing and a curse, because I would like to have settled and only fight at one weight division, but then I wouldn't have achieved what I've achieved. So it was a blessing and a curse. Yeah. So, if I wasn't willing to take these risks, and that's the same thing, blessing and a curse. And I live and die by the sword of, I've taken these risks that have paid off, and there's always going to be a point where the risk doesn't pay off. Yeah. And I wanted to turn around and have these 2 title fights within a month, which is a crazy time frame, especially after the first one being a 5-round war, blood everywhere and all of that, to turn around. And I wanted to do it. And I wanted to take the risk, because the potential reward, like massive exposure to do that. And so it is what it is. I don't regret it. I think the story may have been different under different circumstances. But again, I think that actually opened a lot more doors for me, because I was finding it hard to get opponents and fights as it was. And as soon as you lose or you get injured, the phone rings. The phone never rings until you take a loss. And I honestly have never in my life gotten more phone calls and fight offers until 24 hours after losing that fight.
Yeah,
So
that's insane. But I remember, and I know you've shared it on your Instagram and most recently your Twitch stream, where you had Amanda Nunes message you day of your fight, which would have been
I
so
did.
like just like it would have been insane just to think about. She messaged you.
Yeah, she started following me a little bit before that. So it might have been before the Talia fight, or maybe I might even be before that. It might have been in 2022. But yeah, she sent me a message on the day of my professional fight, my first pro fight, wishing me good. It basically said, "Yeah, good luck in your pro debut," and I cried,
Yeah,
as you could
I
imagine.
oh for sure, and that would have been insane. But going on from that fight, so you mentioned like you had so many fight offers, calls, whatever. How long was it before, like, from that fight until was it Palace Athena?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How long was
So
it from that fight until, well, from that fight until you got the offer?
So ages, because
Yeah.
I turned down so many offers because the phone was calling after that loss, because I actually was severely injured. For like the injuries that I took into that fight, I actually didn't train for months and months after that fight. So
Yep.
that'll give you an indication of the level of injured that I guess I was going into that
For
fight.
sure.
So yeah, I pretty much didn't train for the majority of the rest of that year. I started training again sort of the very back end of 2023, which was really frustrating and disheartening. And I had some other things happen
Yeah, for sure.
as well. So, and then, yeah, then I started training at Flux Jiu Jitsu sort
Yep.
of the end of 2023. And yeah, I had a fight offer come in. I can't remember if it was the end of 23 or this, it might have been the start of, it probably was the start of 24. So to fight on Palace Athena. And obviously, at the time, I actually had a fight offer come in from an Australian promotion at the same time as Palace Athena, and it was a big Australian promotion.
Yep.
And I had originally first said yes to the Australian promotion, but the opponent that they had offered me had gone dark after wanting to fight me. So then I was like, I need to know, I have to make a decision, and it's a big
Yeah,
opportunity for me to
for
go
sure.
fight over in Canada on this promotion. And basically, yeah, ended up going to Canada. So yeah, so I got that offer early, I think early 2024, and then so the fight show was in March. So I hadn't fought since July the year before.
Yeah, for
Um
sure.
and yeah, so originally it was for a different opponent, and I
Yeah.
wanted a flyweight fight, and she
Yep.
wanted a bantamweight fight. So we
Yeah, right.
agree, yeah, well, because she's the lightest that she's ever fought. The
Far
chick
out.
that I was originally going to fight, lightest that she'd ever fought was Bantam.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Far
so
out.
so we agreed to I agreed to come up, and we would fight at a catch weight, and I think that one was 58 or
Okay.
59, 58. 58 or 59.
Close enough. Close enough.
It was one of those. And then
Yeah.
I think she did her knee like not long before the fight show. Like she tore her knee. So she's out. So that happened, and it was only like a week before getting on the plane, so 2 weeks before the fight show. And something happened to Lexi Rook's opponent. So she was always meant to be co-main event.
Yep.
So they offered me or asked me to fight Lexi. And Lexi was scheduled at Bantam, and I had asked, okay, well, can she come down to the catch weight? No, she won't go lower than Bantam. I was like, well, okay, can we go just a little lower than Bantam? 100 grams, like 1 pound, something like that. And
Yep.
they were like, no, and and mind you, for this show, the commission was busy on the Friday night, so we actually weighed in, and I knew this. I'd been talking to them. There was actually a 48-hour, so 2-day rehydration, because we weighed in on Thursday night for a Saturday show. So I was really concerned, and again, we only had like a day or two to make a decision. Change of opponent, change of weight. I had to go up to Bantam to fight her or no fight. And then obviously being changed to co-main event, flying halfway across the world. And this again was one of those things where I'm like, look, it is who I am. I'm an Aussie. This is what we do. We step in on short notice. We take the risks. And I've taken risks all throughout my career, and I'm not afraid to do it. And so short notice. Even though I was meant to be fighting on that show, I was meant to be fighting at a lower weight. Short notice, stepped up to bantamweight, fought Lexi. Obviously, Lexi was, a big star of that show, which is familiar territory for me. Being
like
the underdog.
A common theme of your fighting career of like
it is
being the underdog or like fighting in enemy territory. So that's just a common theme.
Yeah, even my MMA debut, my MMA debut as like an amateur, I fought in Lithgow against a Lithgow girl, and the promoter was her coach. So it was her gym's show. So, that's just normal for me now. I think I like being the underdog.
which I love. But amazing just to hear alone, just your career, your experiences, and thank you for sharing as well.
My pleasure.
So I guess like what's your advice for up and coming fighters? Like, what do you have to share?
I have a lot to share.
I'll keep it short and simple.
No, I think there's two things. So for me, that saying of hard work beats talent eventually is 100% true. I wouldn't be here if that wasn't true, because I'm not naturally talented or gifted. It's just literally hard work and dedication. And when I say this, I mean you're going to have to lose in the gym every day for you to be able to win in the cage. And you are going to have to be okay with that, like the ego. You have to train without ego, and you need to do that. If you are not losing to people in the gym, you're not being pushed hard enough. You are not experiencing the harder stuff. So it's that hard work. You can achieve anything you want as long as you are dedicated and willing to put in that hard work and willing to train without ego and lose to develop. And the other one is around mindset. And it's my favorite saying is that someone said to me once was, no one cares. And it sounds it sounds really harsh. It took me a long time to really truly understand what they meant. And what they meant is like, no one else cares. It may seem like it, but the pressure that you feel is only the pressure that you're putting on yourself. So you think that you need to do the gym right, and you need to do your coach right, and you need to do your team right, like your family and your friends, and you don't want to disappoint them. They're not going to be disappointed. They're your family, they're your friends, your teammates. So answer the questions in your head. What happens if I get knocked out? Okay, you get knocked out. It's going to be worse for everyone else because you won't remember it. You have some time off. You go back to the gym. You still have dinner with your parents. You still, see your friends. They're still going to love and care about you. And the people that weren't the people that you cared about anyway. But the main thing being like, think about the biggest fight that you can remember, right? Your favorite fighter, world title, the time that they lost and it was the biggest upset and whatever. It consumed you for that time, maybe the next day, then you move on with your life. You don't remember about it. Sure. Literally, the world champions, like, we will forget about the fact that Stipe lost this next weekend. Next fight card, you won't be thinking about that, will you? No. But you as the person feels like that's all people think about when they look at you. That's not the reality. So it's no one really cares. And the people that do care aren't your people. So
yeah. Well, thank you for jumping on that. Like, hearing a lot of just your experience as a fighter has been incredible to share. Well, to hear, sorry, not share. I'm not sharing your story. Well, I guess I will be.
You will be.
I will be
A little
eventually.
bit.
A little, just a tiny bit. But thank you for jumping on, and we'll catch you on the next episode.